You have been told that communication is the key to respect, that when someone insults you, crosses a line, or disrespects you in front of others, you must stand up for yourself, set the record straight, and draw a clear boundary. This advice sounds reasonable, it feels righteous, and it is completely wrong. It is a trap, designed by people who have never understood how power actually moves, that pulls you down to the level of whoever is attacking you. Because the ultimate display of dominance is not the perfect comeback. It is not the loudest voice in the room. It is not the most devastating argument. It is absolute, chilling non-reaction. There is a specific psychological mechanism, a glitch in the human nervous system, where ignoring a provocation does not just protect you, it actively dismantles the mind of the person attacking you. Once you understand how to trigger this asymmetry, you will hold a terrifying and permanent advantage over anyone who tries to break your peace. You already know the physical sensation, the sudden heat in your chest, the moment someone disrespects you, the rush of blood to your ears, the immediate, overwhelming urge to open your mouth and defend yourself, to prove them wrong, to make them understand. But look closely at what happens the exact moment you begin to justify yourself. The moment you react, you submit, not because your argument is weak, because the act of reacting tells them everything they needed to know. Your opinion matters enough to disrupt my internal state. That message, delivered through your reaction, is worth more to them than anything you could say. Today we rewire that. 6 principles, cold, precise, and permanently effective. By the time we are done, you will never view an insult the same way again. Number 1. The asymmetry of explanation. In any interaction, the person who is explaining is the person who is losing. Think about the architecture of a courtroom. The judge sits elevated, perfectly still, observing. The judge does not explain. The judge does not justify. The defendant stands sweating, talking rapidly, presenting evidence, begging for their narrative to be accepted. The entire dynamic of power in that room is built on one thing: who is trying to convince whom? When someone attacks your character, questions your decisions, or throws a passive-aggressive comment in your direction, their goal is singular. They want to force you into the position of the defendant. They want you scrambling for evidence of your own worth. In the late 18th century, the French diplomat Charles Maurice de Talleyrand was subjected to one of the most vicious public humiliations in recorded history. Napoleon Bonaparte, the most powerful man in the world, cornered him in a room full of Europe's elite. For 30 unbroken minutes, Napoleon screamed. He hurled insults, questioned Talleyrand's manhood, mocked his physical limp, threatened his life. He wanted fear. He wanted groveling. He wanted Talleyrand to explain himself. Talleyrand did none of those things. He stood perfectly upright, face an unreadable mask of stone. He simply looked at the emperor. He did not shift his weight. He did not blink rapidly. He offered zero resistance and zero validation. When Napoleon finally ran out of breath and stormed out, physically exhausted from his own rage, the court fell completely silent. Talleyrand slowly adjusted his coat, turned to the terrified nobles around him, and in a voice so calm it was almost bored, said, "What a pity that such a great man is so ill-bred." In a single moment of absolute non-reaction, Talleyrand stripped the most powerful man in the world of his dignity. He did not fight back, because fighting back would have implied that Napoleon's words had landed. By offering no explanation, he turned Napoleon's rage into a humiliating tantrum witnessed by everyone in that room. When you explain yourself to someone who has disrespected you, you hand them the judge's gavel. You validate their right to evaluate you. You say, without words, "Please review my case and grant me my dignity." The Machiavellian mind refuses to step into that courtroom. When someone questions your choices with that subtle sneer of judgment, do not give them a single sentence of your reasoning. Look at them. Keep your face completely relaxed. Let a flat, emotionless second pass, then change the subject or walk away entirely. That refusal communicates something no argument ever could. You do not have the jurisdiction to evaluate me, and your attempt to do so is entirely irrelevant. Number 2. Starving the predator and the extinction burst. To master non-reaction, you must first understand the biological drive of the person provoking you. People who manipulate, belittle, and instigate drama are not looking for a logical resolution. They are hunting for an emotional currency. When they provoke you, they experience a spike of dopamine. Your anger, your tears, your frantic explanations, these are the food that sustains their ego. It makes them feel powerful to know they can alter your internal state with a few carefully chosen words. When you react, you are paying them for their disrespect. You are funding the behavior. So what happens when you cut off the funding entirely? In the mid-20th century, behavioral psychologist B.F. Skinner placed a rat in a cage with a lever. Every time the rat pushed the lever, a food pellet dropped. The rat learned. It pushed the lever. It received the food. The behavior was conditioned. Then one day, Skinner's team turned off the machine. The rat pushed the lever. Nothing happened. The rat did not simply accept this and walk away. It pushed the lever again, faster, harder. It clawed at the lever, bit the metal, threw its body against the cage walls in a desperate, escalating frenzy, trying to force the reality it had come to expect. It escalated its behavior radically before finally collapsing into exhaustion and giving up entirely. Skinner called this the extinction burst, the final, violent spike of a conditioned behavior before it dies completely. Human beings operate on the exact same circuitry. When you stop reacting to a toxic person, they will not quietly accept the new dynamic. They will escalate. They will say something more offensive, accuse you of arrogance, attack the things they know you care about. They will push the lever harder than they have ever pushed it. And this is the moment most people break. They endure the initial provocation, but when the attacker escalates, the pressure becomes too intense and they snap. The rat gets the pellet, and the cycle resets. You must learn to view the escalation not as a threat, but as confirmation that you are winning. When they raise their voice, when they reach for the nuclear option, when the desperation becomes visible in everything they do, recognize what you are witnessing. An extinction burst. They are not acting from power, they are acting from starvation. Their remote control to your nervous system has stopped working, and they are panicking. Do not interrupt them. Let them exhaust themselves. Observe with the clinical detachment of a scientist watching a frantic animal. Notice the strain in their voice, the desperation in their eyes. You are expending nothing. They are expending everything. By the time they finish, they will feel drained, exposed, and deeply unsettled by your flatline response. You have not just denied them a victory. You have reprogrammed their subconscious to associate attacking you with a total loss of their own energy. Starve the predator, and the predator learns to hunt elsewhere. Number 3. Weaponized unpredictability. Sun Tzu wrote over 2,000 years ago, "A known enemy is a defeated enemy." In any conflict, information is the ultimate asset. When a manipulator watches you, they are not simply being hostile, they are gathering data, mapping the topography of your emotional landscape, identifying the landmines, learning what makes you insecure, what makes you defensive, what makes you desperate for approval or understanding. Every time you react to a provocation, you hand them a detailed map of your vulnerabilities. When you react with anger, you mark a nerve. When you react with hurt, you reveal a wound. When you react with explanation, you confirm that their judgment has authority over you. Every reaction is a gift, information they will use with precision the next time they need to move you. Non-reaction is the deployment of complete fog over that landscape. When you do not react, you give them nothing. You become an unreadable black box. They input an insult. The output is a flat, unmoved stare. They input a threat. The output is a calm, almost bored shift in posture. This terrifies the manipulative mind. They rely on predictability to feel safe and in control. When you strip away their ability to predict you, you strip away their illusion of control entirely. They are swinging their sword in a pitch-black room, completely unsure of where you are standing. Nassim Nicholas Taleb introduced the concept of anti-fragility, systems that do not just survive chaos, but grow stronger from it. Your emotional baseline must become anti-fragile. When you refuse to react, the chaos of the attacker breaks against you like a wave against concrete. The wave shatters, the concrete remains, and with every wave that breaks against it, the concrete only becomes more solid, become the blank wall. Let their words hang in the air. Let them hear the echo of their own venom without your reaction to validate it. Those words drop to the floor, exposed, ridiculous, and entirely without effect. You become a psychological mirror, and there is nothing a broken mind fears more than being forced to look directly at itself. Number 4. Every insult is a confession. To permanently immunize yourself against the words of others, you must fundamentally change how you interpret an insult. An insult is never a profound observation about your character. It is a psychological projection. It is a confession of the attacker's deepest and most closely guarded insecurities, gift-wrapped and delivered directly to you. Sigmund Freud identified one of the most consistent patterns in human behavior: projection. We lack the imagination to attack others with concepts we do not already fear in ourselves. We project our internal horrors onto the people around us. When someone attacks you, they are not diagnosing you. They are offering you the precise coordinates of their own unresolved pain. Carl Jung took this further with his concept of the shadow, the collection of everything a person has suppressed, rejected, and refused to acknowledge about themselves. They attack in others what they most hate and most fear in themselves. Once you truly understand this, anger becomes impossible. How can you be angry at a confession? The next time someone tries to belittle you, do not flinch. Look at them closely. Study the specific words they chose. Notice the tension in their jaw. Become genuinely fascinated by their pathology. Look at them the way a microbiologist looks at a strange, aggressive bacteria under a microscope. Mildly curious, completely detached, entirely untouchable. They will feel this shift. They will sense that they are no longer in a mutual conflict, but that they are being studied, and they will realize with a sudden cold panic that in their attempt to break you, they have accidentally exposed everything broken inside themselves. Number 5. The architecture of the absolute pause. Understanding the theory is one thing. Executing it in a real confrontation, when cortisol is flooding your system, your heart rate is spiking, and every instinct in your body is screaming at you to fight, you must build the physical architecture of non-reaction. And it begins with the pause. When the provocation comes, do not rush. Time is now your weapon. The first step is breath. Breathe in slowly through your nose, expanding your stomach, not your chest. This single physical action interrupts the sympathetic nervous system response. It slows your heart rate. It cuts off the adrenaline supply. It prevents your voice from shaking if you do decide to speak. The second step is your face. When we are attacked, we clench our jaw, narrow our eyes, and brace for impact. Do the exact opposite. Drop your shoulders. Let your facial muscles go completely slack. You are physically communicating that you do not perceive them as a threat. You are treating a charging bull as if it were a minor gust of wind. The third step is the gaze. Maintain eye contact, but do not glare. Instead, focus your eyes on the bridge of their nose, just between their eyes. This creates the illusion of intense, unwavering eye contact while removing the emotional charge of looking directly into their pupils. Number 6. Become the ghost in the machine. When you become the ghost in the machine, you move through the world entirely untouched by the friction of other people's egos. You observe the drama, the manipulation, the provocations, as if watching a poorly written play from a seat in the balcony. You cannot be blackmailed with your own emotions. You cannot be goaded into destroying your own reputation. You cannot be cut. You cannot be burned. You can only be observed, quietly feared, and eventually respected. Think about the energy you have spent in your life arguing with people committed to misunderstanding you. The hours lost replaying conversations, rehearsing perfect comebacks, nursing wounds inflicted by people who do not matter and never will. Imagine reclaiming every unit of that energy. Imagine redirecting it, all of it, toward building something that the reactive, the defensive, and the perpetually provoked will never have the stillness to create. The people who genuinely matter do not require you to bleed for their understanding, and the people who demand your blood will never understand you regardless of how much you give them. In a world addicted to outrage, the man who refuses to react is the man who rules them all, not loudly, not visibly, quietly, permanently, from a position so settled and so internally fortified that nothing outside it can reach the foundation. You came into this video believing that defending yourself was strength. You leave knowing that the most powerful defense is the one that requires no movement at all. Stay cold, stay calculated, stay ahead.